All right, this is exciting to see some members rolling in. If you're joining us now, welcome to our 2020 annual meeting. It's good to see you all, or to know that we're here with you all, even if it's not in person. We're grateful to be able to stay safe and be cozy, I hope, at home with this beautiful autumn rain. And just keep in mind that as our meeting goes on today, some people may be coming in slowly. Some people may have to leave at different times. There may be hiccups in the technological process that we can't foresee. And we're just gonna try to approach it all with grace and patience for one another and ourselves. My name is Chelsea Thorpe, and I'm a member of the co-op board. Thanks for re-electing me or electing me. And I'm on the member engagement committee. And our committee last year put on a great annual meeting, as well as lots of other community conversations. And our goals there were to engage our membership, and through that, have our membership steer our strategic ship as a co-op, and to envision with us a thriving future together. And that's going to be our theme of our meeting this evening. And with that being said, as I know more people will slowly trickle in, I want to introduce our board president, Annette Bader.
Thank you, Chelsea. Yeah, here we are on this, as she said, this chilly, rainy day. It's a great day to be inside, unlike other days recently. So this has been an extraordinary year, as we all know. I'm changing it to gallery view because I want to see you all and not myself. So it's been an amazing year, and it continues to be an amazing year where, I won't enumerate all the different things in the collective that have gone on, because we all know those things. But for the co-op, this whole thing with COVID, it took everybody by surprise. It wasn't, none of us were seeing this coming in the big way, and the co-op has responded extraordinarily. There's a lot of exciting things going on. As Lerner mentioned some of these things in his invitation to today's meeting. We're moving into new space. We've started the curbside pickup and delivery programs, online ordering with our just regular products, and with provisions with our bulk, and more interfacing and networking with the community, more support of the community, just getting out there in the way that many of us has always envisioned that this would be where our co-op is going. I want to really thank our outstanding, amazing managers and staff of the co-op. The co-op staff, without any input or prodding from the board, saw immediately when COVID started getting, really rising in cases, just saw immediately the need to adapt significantly and swiftly. And they did so all of their own accord the board was just kind of running to keep up with them. They were moving so swiftly and doing so remarkably. Many people around the island stayed at home, but the co-op staff had to keep coming into work and dealing with a significant amount of stress, shortages in products and deliveries, and how do we adapt to this whole thing, and fears of getting sick themselves. So they work diligently to keep everyone safe, everyone within the staff, the customers and members safe, and just did an amazing job with creativity and innovation and fortitude. perseverance and cheerfulness. Just really such an excellent group of people to guide our co-op. So just thank you so much for all of you. And along with that, ultimately, it's the members. Without the members, we could not have continued to exist as a co-op. The members, that's all of us. More members have joined since ever before in this year. And the members that have already been here, they're shopping more at our co-op than ever before. And that is so excellent. It's like everyone is just coming together to be the community and the support that we want to be. And we're creating more resilience around the island and in our islands throughout, by supporting the businesses, by supporting each other, by networking with other community organizations. And I'm just so proud. And the board is really delighted and happy to be supporting all of it. It's a fabulous enterprise. Together, we are supporting community, we're supporting sharing, we're creating the resilience that we need for our times ahead. So my deep gratitude for all of us, for everyone. Thank you. And I'll turn it over to Lerner.
All right, thank you, Annette. So before I share my screen, and I have some slides to share, I just wanted to also acknowledge the board. A lot of organizations on Orcas Island, have a hard time with how many nonprofits there are to keep their boards full and active. And we have all 9 seats filled. All of our board members are really engaged, and our board subcommittees are engaged and active. This has been the most engaged and most active board that we've had. So thanks to all the board members. I think all of which are here today also. So it really supports my job and the job of the staff and the management to have a really engaged board. And let's see, now I'm gonna start my PowerPoint. Just give me 1 second. All right. So I'm going to be going over some financials. I'm going to be going over some accomplishments from the year and also from the past year. And I'm also going to be talking about some new developments for the co-op in terms of expansion and growth, and some of the recent developments with some of the programs that we have. It's not going to be a totally comprehensive presentation because I really want to get to the breakout groups that we have later. So just keep in mind that there are other things going on that I'm not going to address, but this is some of the things that are really at the forefront right now, I think, on my mind. So in terms of financials, just to update on our overall sales, we started out the year with having our growth rate had slowed a bit from past years, as we're now 6 years old. Our initial growth momentum had slowed. Q2 was when the pandemic hit, and we, even though we did very well in our curbside pickup and delivery programs, because we normally rely on a lot of tourist sales, and we were closed for almost the entire Q2, all but 2 weeks of the second quarter. We did have a sales decline of 24%, and which in many respects we saw as a big success. So it's not as much of a downer as it would look, in a normal year. That was, it's the result of doing what we think was the right thing. And it also gave us the opportunity to develop our online curbside pickup and delivery systems, which now are going to remain a permanent part of the business. But we opened the business back. We opened the store for in-store shopping in the end of the second quarter, and Q3, which ends September 30th, just finished, and we ended up with positive sales growth for Q3, and that is a huge accomplishment, considering that the island as a whole has had much less visitor traffic. Normally in Q3, normally almost half of our sales are from off-island visitors, just for that one quarter. And so I'm going to show some other numbers on the breakdown of that this year. In terms of net income, we were quite a bit in the red second quarter. Part of that was because we received a Paycheck Protection Program loan from the federal stimulus programs, and as a result of that, our priority was keeping everybody employed, and also building out the curbside pickup and delivery systems, and just doing everything that we could do to respond and provide groceries safely. And so that was an investment that we made. We received $149,000. 10,000 of that was the economic injury disaster loan grant, just a $10,000 grant. And then the PPP funding, in addition to that, 139,000 more. That's all on the balance sheet as counted as a loan currently. So that's not factored in. And so if you add that to the 124,000, then that would more than cover that loss. So hopefully that'll get forgiven. And the PPP loans have not started to be forgiven yet, but we're obviously keeping our finger on the pulse on that, and looking forward to when those get processed. Q3, we saw a surge in sales towards the end of the quarter. We've seen accelerating sales growth, and particularly among our members. And we ended the quarter $18,000 more profitable than last year, the third quarter, and that was our most profitable quarter that we've ever had. So we're bringing a lot of momentum into the fourth quarter, and as long as the PPP loan gets forgiven, that's going to offset our losses and put us in profitability for the year. What's really exciting that I wanted to show you, and I know this is a lot of numbers, but you can sort of just pick out the red numbers and the green numbers. You can see that non-member sales growth during the second quarter, April, May, June, was really in the negative. But in August, the month where we started having positive sales growth again, it was really because of our members. So member sales growth was positive 18%, while non-member sales growth was minus 18%. And so that resulted in positive sales growth for August. In September, it's continued to, member sales growth continued to accelerate, and non-member sales growth got back to even with last year. And so as we've come out of the summer, this fall seems to, the off-island visitor traffic seems to be sort of, for us at least, sort of catching up with itself. But what's really exciting is the growth in our member sales, and that's really because of, you know, the way that we've responded to the pandemic, in part with the new programs, with the expansion of the provisions program. I'm going to talk about some of those things a little bit later. But also we're seeing more islanders who typically are here part-time, settling down on the island and sticking around. That's another reason why you know, our member sales are continuing to grow. And some of that we don't know all the factors, but it certainly seems like the trend of people hunkering down on the island, shopping more on the island. It seems like that's continuing. And with the pandemic not really having an end in sight at this point, we're sort of expecting that to continue. We have some additional plans for expanding the co-op, which also are going to contribute to sales growth next year. And so what we're projecting at this point is we're almost going to catch up with last year's sales, and we're going to have probably a slight dip in our sales this year by the end of the year, just a few percentage points, just because of the second quarter being so negative. But with the growing sales from our members and with the addition of additional services and space that we're taking on, we're expecting somewhere around 30% growth next year. And obviously we're not out of the water yet with the pandemic. Things could take a turn for the worse on the island. We never really had a spike in COVID cases on the island. So, and if we did, that wouldn't necessarily, because we do delivery and curbside pickup and everything, that, you know, every way imaginable that we could provide groceries, it wouldn't necessarily cause a negative, you know, financial impact on us, but because we're prepared now. But if we did have cases maybe in the store, that's a risk that, you know, maybe could cause us some business interruption or something. So, but you know, if things sort of continue on the trajectory they're on, this is the sort of year that we're expecting next year. And so we're doing everything we can to prepare for that kind of growth, which takes a lot of organizational changes. So I just want to highlight a few of the sort of accomplishments, some things that we're really proud of. Members, as Annette said, we've had 131 new members sign up this year. That's more new members than any year since we opened. So all the way back to 2014, the year we opened, obviously we had more people joining, but it's at the beginning of October, with a few months left in the year, we've already hit 131, more than any other year since 2014. I think that's really a testament to, you know, the way that we've responded to the pandemic, and the fact that you know, we're meeting our community's needs in a variety of different ways, which has, you know, sort of drawn the attention and you know, brought in a lot of new people that maybe didn't interact with the co-op as much previously. So through all this, you know, I mean, more sales means more staff also. And, you know, while we haven't increased staff this year, we have maintained, we've maintained our full staffing compared to, you know, previous years. And I think we have 27 or 28 staff right now. So, but we are hiring a little bit right now too. So, but we're essentially providing 30 year-round jobs at this point. It's going to go up next year, obviously, with new aspects to our business starting. But another thing I wanted to point out with staff is that we've really been trying to raise wages over the last few years. And I recently calculated our our average hourly wage. And this is really important. We all know the cost of living on the island is going up. And it's hard to find a place to rent for a reasonable price and all that. And so we've really been focused on raising our hourly wages, our non-management wages. And so our current average non-management hourly wage is right now $18 an hour. That's the result of us creating more leadership positions in the co-op, delegating more positions of responsibility to sort of the middle tier staff, and reducing our overall payroll that's dedicated to the top management. So we think that that's something that we're all bought into, that the management team's on board with, and it's paying off, and it's just creating a lot more resiliency in the organization. So just in the last 2 years, the average non-management hourly wage went from around $15 an hour to $18 an hour. And obviously we're still working to raise that. And there are still, there's a lot of debate about what's a livable wage, and we're happy with the progress, and also just happy to be able to continue making progress in that area. It's just another way to show the impact of members shopping this year, members spending more than ever before this year. The total share of sales that have been from members is 78.5%. Last year in 2019 was a record of 66.3%. That was the highest we had to that point. So this year it shot up 78.5. We were closed for 3 months to off-island visitors, basically. So it's not going to stay that high next year, but still, it just shows that really we wouldn't really be able to exist, if we didn't have the member support, because that's really the whole business. Buying local food, local food sales is about $400,000 annually, and we work with about 50 producers. Produce is something I wanted to highlight, that through September 30th, we've already purchased as much local produce as we purchased all of last year. And this is the harvest season. This is the season where we have a lot of local food. So we're going to exceed last year's local produce purchases by a lot. We've already, so essentially we've paid more money to local farmers this year than we paid all last year. Okay, so I'm on to announcements now. In terms of some of our projects, the Olga store that everybody's been hearing about for a long time, we signed the lease on Friday, so that's official. This is a picture of me and Gay, the Friends of the Olga Store building vice president, and we're so excited about the Olga store, and it's going to be a great thing for our members on the east side of the island, for the community out there. And interestingly, I think it's one of those expansion projects that makes perfect sense during a pandemic, because we want people to be able to stay closer to home and be able to go in and shop there and not have to necessarily come to town. So whereas maybe in a time of uncertainty, you don't want to take on too much risk. This seems like a no-brainer. So we have been committed to this, for the whole past year, and we're still committed to it, and we're excited to sign the lease and be able to start designing the space. And Natalie and Regina Natalie and Libby are really spearheading that part. starting to work on designing the space. We're planning to try to open next spring. So I don't want to try to say a hard date. There's a lot of uncertainty, with just, what could happen. And there's still some permits to get and everything, but, we're thinking springtime. So looking forward to that. Co-op mini space that we had this open for a little while, Peter Fisher space, as the co-op mini. It's closed right now, and that's been, we haven't necessarily needed it. There haven't been COVID cases. Part of the reason for having it was to provide an alternate space to shop. It served a purpose for a couple months in the summer when we were really busy and still worried about. We're still worried about spread, but we were more worried at that time. And at this point, with it being closed, we're planning to keep it that way because we want to design. Keep it that way for until we can reopen it in the way that we imagine the space being used. So in the long run. So what we're planning to do is more of a cafe sort of design, offer coffee, and basically move our sort of a grab and go deli operation out there. So we're still going to have kitchen production in the main co-op, but sort of moving a lot of our deli offerings into this space so that it can sort of, it's going to help with congestion in the main store by sort of removing the element of, the lunch rush and things like that. And so I think we'll be able to offer more of that sort of service and also sort of alleviate some of that sort of the crowding and congestion and the lines in the main store. So both of those parts of the business are gonna be able to do better. We currently have signed a lease for the space through 2021, and we're working on a longer term lease, but just, it was something that, with everything going on, working on a arrangement through next year was a good way to just extend it and be able to continue developing it while we work on kind of the longer term conversation with our landlord. Provisions Co-op Wholesale was developed this year out of our old special order program. So it's basically special orders 2.0, I guess. It's a benefit just for members, which we feel, we're basically providing deep discounts for our members, and we felt like, that's something that we should reserve for our members as a member perk. So the exciting announcement about this program today is that we now have all 28,000 UNFI items in provisions online on the website. We had only had about 8,000 through yesterday. And we've been working on the database and work and categorization and all that stuff to try to get everything in there. And also we didn't have refrigerated items in there, and now we do. We need to manage that, sort of going forward, just how much refrigerated we can do based on our walk-in space and refrigerated space that we have. But we're now making every UNFI item available, and anything that you're used to seeing carried by UNFI, if you used to look at the catalog or whatever, all those items are going to be in there. Co-op Deals offers a lot of savings. There's 1,800 items on sale in there. So in addition to the deep discounts that you already get for buying by the case, there's additional discounts when you buy the sale items. And so that's, I guess the point I want to get across is that there's a lot of ways to save money shopping at the co-op. And this is really a big one. And if you haven't ordered through Provisions, you know, I'm not going to tell anybody how to shop, but you're leaving money on the table if you don't if you don't shop through Provisions a little bit, because the discounts are really significant. We've set it up to be able to serve individuals, businesses, and buying clubs. And an example of that is the Waldron community recently did an order through us. And you know, it's a bunch of people pooling together their orders. And by doing that, they got the best price that we can offer. And it's a win-win. It's a win for the co-op and a win for them, because they're saving money and I think getting a good service. The other announcement for Provisions is that with the addition of space that we've recently started leasing, we're going to be able to have a dedicated room going forward, which we've always had Provisions items being picked up outside, just out in back of the co-op. This room is along Prune Alley Road. Can't really tell exactly from this photo where it is, but this is the used to be a salon space, and then it was our storage room. Now it's going to be the Provisions space. So this door will have like a combo lock, and because only members use Provisions, we're going to be able to just give you the access to the room to be able to just come in and pick up your order. So we're still developing exactly how it'll all work, but we're currently starting to use that room for pickup, which means stuff can be put in there. It's easier for us. If it's raining, we don't have to move it inside. It'll already be in there. Yeah, so a much nicer situation. So along with that, another big announcement is that we recently signed a lease also for the space that was previously the Orcas Mandala yoga studio. Wanted to just take a second and say that Orcas Mandala has been a huge benefit to the community for a long time, and we loved having the yoga studio as a neighbor. So it's really kind of bittersweet, but we felt like if the yoga studio is not going to be there, we certainly would like having the space, but we also really would have loved having the yoga studio stay there as well. So that being said, we're excited to be growing the co-op, and that space provides us with much needed storage space right now as we grow the Provisions program and all of our other programs. So and also try to stock up for the winter because of the pandemic uncertainty and food. There's food shortage uncertainty going forward this winter. So we're in a position now where we can, this is the inside of the yoga space now. We're setting it up so that we can, really stock up a little more than we're used to in the winter and just have a little more backup. We can also buy things cheaper because we can get a whole pallet and store it in there. We have a place for it, which we haven't had enough space traditionally in the past. Okay, so aside from kind of our mission of getting food out into the world, we also, sustainability is really important to the co-op and to the co-op movement. And I have a new program to announce today, and that is called the Co-op Forest Carbon Offset Program. Co-op Forest started in 2012 by National Co-op Grocers, and National Co-op Grocers said, why don't we pool our resources from our 150 co-op members nationwide, and start work with a nonprofit in Peru and have our own carbon offset program where we can support reforestation of the tropical rainforest, and work with communities down there to to offset emissions from our business practices, from our air travel, things like that. So I'm going to read a little bit just from the program that they put together. The idea behind this unique carbon offset program is simple. Our co-op calculates our annual carbon emissions from business travel, utilities, etc., and then funds the planting or protection of a corresponding number of trees to absorb and offset that carbon. When trees naturally absorb carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas from the atmosphere, it effectively slows the rate of climate change. So we're really excited to have this be the first year, 2020, where we're going to offset Orcas Food Co-op's carbon emissions. We're going to offset all of our carbon emissions that obviously we don't have much air travel this year, but we have some fuel use and electricity and things like that. So we're going to offset all of the carbon that we measure through those metrics. And what we're doing that's different from any other co-op that I am really excited to announce is that we went to NCG and said, hey, can we also offer this to our members? So in other words, can our members calculate their personal carbon emissions and contribute to Co-op Forest to offset their emissions? And so what we ended up doing was coming up with a way to have our members submit forms to us. We'll send out materials so that you can calculate your own emissions, and then what you'll do is sign up for however many emissions you want to offset. It's like a number of trees that correspond to a certain offset, and we will pool those together, and we'll work with the nonprofit that manages this program, and then so together our co-op members offsets and the Orcas Food Co-op's business offsets will all be pulled together, and we'll have the coordinates of the rainforest that we're protecting, that we're helping to reforest or protect. And it'll just be something that we're doing together, and collectively we'll be able to sort of see more impact than we would have separately. And the really cool benefit of this program that is that we know that it's already a very ethically managed program. There's different carbon offset programs out there that maybe you can trust more than others, but we know that this is already vetted and a really really impactful program. So with that, I will turn it over for questions. So I'm going to stop the share.
And so if you're a member listening right now, you can raise your hand using an icon at the bottom of your screen, or you can type in the chat box, which a member of the board can help relay to learner.
There's one question, just are we going to have a barista service in the mini? Yes, we're planning to do espresso and have a barista.
If you can type it, what do you need to say?
I don't see any other questions, so I guess I answered everything.
You better put your hand up.
I don't know how you do it.
Right there. There's your hand waving.
Raise your hand.
Hey, George and Brenda, we can hear you guys. So if you have a question, go ahead and just ask us.
Trying to figure out how to type the question.
It's a long question.
Yeah.
You can just go ahead and say it out loud. We can hear you.
Go ahead.
No, you're the better one. Sorry.
We've talked about this, and it was originally Brenda's idea, but the question is, we do most of our grocery shopping by getting it pick up outside the store. And very often there are items that we know are on the shelves that we can get if we type them in that don't appear, or there are items that say they're available when they're sold out,
Or vice versa.
or vice versa. We're wondering if there's a way, either through different software or something the staff can do to make the inventory that's actually available, what we see, match what we see on the screen.
I
Make sense?
can speak to that one. Hi, this is Natalie, the operations manager. We actually are doing a total overhaul of our Shopify right now, where each of our buyers is going to be manually going through and making sure that there's just total congruence. So that's like so nice to have the time to catch up after a really busy summer season, when it's like, okay, what are our little admin things that can really get us like well aligned for the next season? So so that's on the way for sure. And if there's ever anything that you wish we carried, like from home, like please write it in your in the notes on your Shopify.
We do.
We do.
We have, there's sort of a follow-up question. That is there a way where your checkout cash register can deduct it or add it, not add, but take away from the inventory as it's happening instead of staff having to do it separately?
Do you want to follow up on that, Lerner?
I didn't quite understand the last question.
Oh, it's basically, my interpretation is that he's wondering if there's a way to link up our POS system, our point of sale system, with our
Oh yeah. So that would be called perpetual inventory. And there's, I guess my answer would be, yeah, we're committed to keeping the curbside pickup system going and delivery system. And you know, what that means for us is like, this is the version that we have right now, but we would like to upgrade it to, you know, a much better system eventually, which will be an investment. But there is a system that, you know, that we're looking at that would sync up with our current point of sale system and provide a much more accurate real-time inventory. So you know, whether it's next year or you know, I can't say exactly, but it's definitely an investment that we want to make eventually, and we'll keep trying to move that dial forward, and working with the system we have currently. You know, we can try to keep the data more accurate as well.
I think that's what we're asking, is that it should be more accurate, because sometimes it's really frustrating when you think you're getting something and you don't, and there's no explanation. And but we really appreciate what you do, all of you. We really are happy.
We think you're doing a great job.
Co-op.
Thanks so much. Yeah, we really appreciate it, and definitely, yeah, it's definitely not lost on us that there's improvement to make. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go back up to where there's some typed in questions. How are expansions affecting cash flow? Yeah, I kept the financial part a little short just because I had so many updates to give, but there's, I guess in terms of cash, we are in a really good cash position right now. We have about $375,000 in the bank. Our goal is to have $150,000 in reserve, you know, after doing projects, to be able to, you know, during the lean months in the winter, just to try to have a year-round, you know, sort of reserve of 150,000. I think that's really important, you know, because we were caught off guard a little bit by the pandemic in the first place, and we did not have that much in reserves, and that was really stressful. We had to get some, you know, emergency funding, you know, really quickly. So we're set up right now to be able to do that and be able to do these projects. And yeah, I'm projecting that with all the projects that I mentioned, our cash probably won't dip below, you know, 150 or you know, probably higher than that. Try to get through a couple of other questions quick before we switch. Okay, let's see. How about bringing your own container? we're letting people bring their own containers for bulk right now. And I think that, so if that has to do with bulk or bringing your own bag, you're currently allowed to do that. But in terms of the deli for grab and go stuff, it's we've been moving towards a jar deposit, or we have a jar deposit program. So right now with the smoothies, the jars have a $1 deposit, and that's like a jar exchange program. I think that for grab and go deli stuff, that's sort of the direction. I hope that makes sense. Okay, is the delivery van leased? Can you get an electric vehicle? We own the delivery van, and I think definitely, we want to start looking at, for the future electric vehicles, but that was something we could afford and get for this year. But yeah, definitely looking at least at electric as an option, because we're going to need, as we expand delivery and start doing more delivery, we're probably going to need more vehicles. GMO products. We do a lot of research and we really try to not carry GMOs at all. We're not 100% GMO free in the store. It's kind of impossible because of the way that they're not regulated perfectly. So I mean, we try to work with reputable companies that and non-GMO verified is a huge growing label, and that a lot of the products have on the label. So if it's verified non-GMO, that's the best that you can get for that. But yeah, I would say we really try to vet every product that we bring in. But some things might slip through, especially if the product is non-organic and there's cornstarch in it or something, then I would assume that it might be GMO cornstarch. So we don't have a strict policy to eliminate all those products, because it would eliminate some of our product selection, but we're strongly leaning that direction. Ethical banking institutions. So all of our loans are from members. So we don't do we have our money in Islanders Bank. And so we've actually never had very much cash. So we're sort of like now starting to think about where we should like keep our cash reserves. And we'll definitely be looking at, co-op banks or other institutions that maybe we want to work with. But in terms of our loans, we only have loans, except for the PPP, and the federal loans that we got. But all of our other loans were from co-op members. So. Thanks, Erica. Erica just was thanking us for delivering groceries to Waldron. It's been a total pleasure and really like a huge boost to be selling a lot of groceries to Waldron Island. It helped us to keep our member sales, up and make up for some of the sales that we lost. Okay, I think we need to move on to the breakout groups now. I really appreciate all the questions and just all the support. This whole year has been amazing. So thanks to all our members and all of our staff, and I'm excited for the discussions that we're going to have right now, and just think outside the box. That's my last thing I'll say.
Thank you, Lerner. And thank you to all the other members of the management team and the staff of the food co-op. We as members, whether you're on the board or not, owe so much to you all, not only as people have said in the chat for keeping the quality of food that you bring to us high, but keeping the attitude really, positive, and the vibe in the store has remained really special, whether you're picking up a box for delivery or going in person. So thank you from all the membership. And once again, my name is Chelsea on the Member Engagement Committee, and I want to give a brief explanation of how we are going to break out into different discussion groups together. We have just 2 really simple questions that we're going to discuss in small groups of about 8. Each group is going to have a board member, and some of those groups will also have a member of the staff that you'll get to meet and greet. And the way this is going to work, you as a member sitting at your computer don't have to do anything. Tony, who is our secretary on the board, is an amazing technology wizard. And with Zoom, we will automatically get sorted into some groups. And this may take about a moment. So try to be patient as you're put into a breakout room. It may take a moment for the specific board member who will be hosting your room to get moved into it. So just take a quick breather. This may be a good time to just briefly get a drink of water, stretch, and then we will take just, about 15 minutes or so with each of those questions. And each room can decide how they want to record those questions. We've got a special document that we'll share with you. We can either elect a scribe, or one of our staff members or the board member can be the one taking down notes about what we all discuss. And then after we've talked about both of those questions together, we'll come back to this big circle that we're in now, and we'll take just about to try to go through each group, and we'll have about 8 groups, I think, to report back on what we discussed. And like Learner said, we're going to keep it positive, keeping in mind that we as a community have done amazing things thus far to weather this crisis, and that we're not just surviving, we're thriving together. And so we're looking into the future with that positive note about how we can come together and make things even better. Great. And keep in mind too that once you're broken into your room, there's a little tool at the bottom called the chat box. And when you use the chat, like some of you did in order to ask questions of our GM, if you're in the breakout room, that chat will only be to members of the room. So keep an eye on that. Once we come back to the big circle, the chat will be to everyone again. And if you have trouble, or you get knocked out of your breakout room, or if your computer has a snafu, just go ahead and click the link again, and Tony, our wonderful secretary, will put you back into a room. Okay? Thank you all. And with that, I think I'm gonna say, let's go ahead, Tony, and start the process. We'll go into our breakout rooms. Wow. That was so fun. I hope everyone in their different groups had the opportunity to get to know some members of our community that you may not have met on a normal day, and got to know a few members of your co-op board or staff, and got to ask some big visioning questions together and dream the future together, dream of what's possible together. I know that was really good medicine for me, and I hope it was the same for all of you. At this time, I want to remind that each one of us in turn are going to go through and kind of give a quick, maybe 1 to 2 minute summary of what our group discussed when it comes to those 2 questions that we talked about. And, try to keep it brief, try to keep it flowing, and that when we get to about 10 minutes to 6, Burke Mulvaney and Josie Dow are gonna, give us some final thoughts, some final words, and we've got a nice musical, artistic presentation that we're gonna enjoy to finish out our annual meeting. So I will start my group, and I'm not going to name the participants, but I had some great members of our community and staff member John Clancy, who works with bulk grocery. Yeah, thanks, John. And we had a lot of things to say just about the co-op itself and also cooperative economy on the island. And the first question, when we talked about strengthening and improving the co-op to better serve members, people were really focusing on how we can continue to support and sort of highlight local producers, whether that would be a specialized space in the future, an actual section of the store to highlight local producers and makers, or another area, another location, just that was a big focus. Farmers and producers from the San Juan Islands. And an example was given just that the Star Store on Whidbey actually separated out some of their non-food items into a different area, different store, literally, to have more space for local food, more space for food. So that's some 2 cents that our members gave. And just people were also dreaming into the future of having more floor plan, more actual space, and questioning whether we could ever own our building in the future. And, fingers crossed, big time. Our second question being, what can we do to inspire and support a broader cooperative economy in the islands, both next year and in the next 5 years? That had us really thinking about regenerative economies and the health of the planet. That even though we have this great co-op with a lot of organic and eco-friendly items, many of them are in a lot of packaging, come from far away. And that really brought us around back to our first question of local producers. Could we have local producer co-ops, like a bakery co-op? Could we have a kelp farming co-op on the islands? Could we have a true co-op kitchen, a big commercial kitchen space where small producers could produce and distribute their items? Yeah, and that we also talked about Nelson, BC, and how they have over 20 co-ops formed there, and just like, what's the secret to having such a rich and thriving cooperative economy in a place? So thank you. I'm gonna pass it on to the next group member. How about Caitlin?
Awesome, thank you, Chelsea. We had a great conversation in room 3. And for the first question about strengthening our co-op to better serve our members, there were kind of different groups of topics. So we're talking about the physical space, education opportunities, equity, and preparedness. So for the physical space, it was things like signage. Covering the courtyard was like the secret to all future co-op success. It hinged on that. Hot bar, salad bar. Yeah, there was a list there. Looking at education, getting back to more workshops and educational classes. Similarly, having farmers come in, local producers, value-added producers, to highlight their products. Offer seasonal videos on what's going on in the local scene. We talked about equity in terms of having potentially sponsored memberships and collaboration with OPAL, the Affordable Housing Program. And then for community preparedness, for provisions to have, like, what does it actually mean to have 3 weeks worth of food? What's on that list? How much would it cost you? How do you squirrel that away over time? And then also a communication network. If power goes out, communications goes down, could the co-op host the CB radio, one of those antennas. And then for the second question, the broader cooperative economy, we were talking about credit union, housing, a collaborative studio working space, community food prep area, trading services, public transportation, and a farmer co-op / tool library. So that was the gist of that in room 3. And I will go ahead and pass it to Burke.
Thank you for passing that on. And I'm going to go ahead and let Josephine start the conversation.
Okay, so for the first question, a lot of what's been mentioned, but a lot of just extending who we reach as members. So not only better serving the members we have, but also opening it up to the Orcas community so that membership increases and continues to increase, especially with those who may have had any stigmas or barriers to being a part of the co-op community. Echoing workshops, and of course, in-person togetherness of sharing values and reinforcing them by practicing new ways of resiliency. Big one that we covered was shopping without plastics, and we got to hear a little bit from Christy and what it's been like to deal with that in the COVID era. But somehow maybe providing incentive for people to bring their own produce bags, especially because so many people are shopping who live here. Let's see. Also doing informative videos on how to help members make their choices in the co-op in terms of what will reduce waste. Erin touched a little bit on that, but that's already in process. And then for the second, also prioritizing members over visitors. So in those high peak times, how can we prioritize and give members space so they don't have to stand in 11-person lines and they can move through the co-op with more ease.
Yeah. And also just when we're able to get back to normal, whenever that is, to have more classes again, to have more ways for community members to learn how to make sauerkraut, make the breads, make the things they love so much, using the co-op materials and ingredients. It'll be so great to get back into that flow.
Yeah, and so that just feeds directly into maybe through the education of people learning how to do these food skills that then they would in turn maybe start their own business and be an additional way to channel their local food into the co-op programs. We talked a lot about education and trying to do some import substitution. So things that we would normally have from off island that we would make on island, and of course create new jobs through that and create a more stable food system. The expansion of the food hub system, it seems like it's already taking place, and how that could maybe benefit the co-op in the long run. Publishing all the list of co-ops that we have in the San Juans, so just creating like a broader scope of what it means to be a co-op, and potentially helping staff to understand, going into staff resiliency and longevity, how to keep our staff and really support them through maybe healthcare initiatives or other support system. Yeah, housing, cooperative housing systems maybe between the islands, because there is so much shared and commuting happening. So that was our group.
Okay, so let's see. We got a learner. What if we pass it over to you, big fella?
Sure. Leslie is going to do our summary for us. Leslie, yeah, there you go. Oh, you're muted, Leslie.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Yes?
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay. Classes. We also echoed some of the other groups that it's all about educating and cooking, preserving, sharing recipes, menu planning, use of time, and that the educating a relationship with food to spark creativity and help people to use their food wisely. A resilient economic resiliency. So expanding the bulk food department and more use of unpackaged items. The co-op, we'd like to see it be a hub if we end up with 6 months of isolation, which apparently might happen sometime, where we don't have ferry service, and how we need to think about that, and how we're going to feed people here for 6 months without any ferry service or boats coming over with food. So we need to think about creating a community food plan, and how to grow enough, store enough, organize the food hubs for storage throughout the islands in various locations for that plan again. And then another person was just saying, how come we don't have fresh seafood offered at the co-op? That would be a really nice improvement. And then finally, let's see, there was composting with regard to limiting food waste on the island, and classes of education in community composting, with the idea that maybe we could have bulk composting where people could bring their food scraps, and partner with the exchange, and possibly even help to create a business for managing food waste. That was that was one. Okay, it's the second question on supporting the broader co-op economy. We talked about, and this, I love this one, a co-op laundromat, which would really be a hub in its own way, because it would maybe have a kitchen attached, and it would be a community hub that could have a cafe and live music, and just a meeting, be a real meeting place for people. And then the other idea that was really big was the credit union, and that's been mentioned by the other groups also, with maybe community grants. And with regard to that, the Orcas Song Institute has loan money available currently, so we need to think about partnering with maybe some other organizations on this island, and possibly in the county at large, we're thinking about prepared foods like a soup kitchen, and mentorships for new businesses. And a model for that would be OUR, which is a credit union in Eugene, that has microloans to help start little businesses, and for local investment opportunities, a cooperative network. Another one in Port Townsend is called Lion, Lion. And so let's see, the other thing is helping consumers to educate the value of local food versus going off island to Costco and the other places to buy food, and how to re-educate people as to why local food is valuable, and how you break that habit of people who have always gone off and bulk shopped off island, and just how to change their minds on that. Then lastly, a time bank for work that needs to be done in exchange for some sort of compensation, which might be a food credit. But anyway, that there are a lot of elderly people on the island who just need work done on their houses or whatever. They need help, and people can't just always volunteer for the same people for nothing. And so how to make that an exchange, a barter, where they get something in compensation that might not be money. And that's a place the co-op could maybe step in. So that's what we had. Thanks. Oh, and I'll pass this on. To who's left. I don't.
We have Sue, Sue or Annette.
Oh, Sue is excellent. Okay.
Annette's excellent too. Sue, are you ready?
Sorry, I was muted. We were in breakout group number 1, and we have a lot of the same ideas, of course. More local food was an emphasis. Increase events and classes, yoga, meditation, soap making, fermentation, that sort of thing. And also help with others' community events, being a sponsor. So getting our name out there is supportive of others trying to do things. Getting Olga stores, making that a drop-off site for provisions would help, certainly the Eastsiders. And also servicing outer islands, if we can figure out how to do that. A water refill station, and intentional articles in local papers about targeting all demographics about why our little co-op may be intimidating to people in the community, or maybe they just don't know what it's about. So breaking that up, figuring out who we're targeting in all income brackets. And then for the second question, a broader cooperative economy, join with other retailers in some cooperative entity that's not the co-op and it's not clothiers, it's something else. And we might have skills to do that at the co-op. Help form a credit union, partner with OCPA, which is the Orcas Community Participatory Agriculture Organization, to teach agricultural skills to individuals or anyone that wants it. And a large commercial kitchen to share with the community. That's about it.
Okay, it looks like our group is the last one. We were in breakout room. Are we ready? Breakout room 2. And a lot of the ideas were a lot of the ideas are the same, similar as other groups. We wanted more opportunity for community, for membership connecting, and before COVID's, before we're out of COVID, online community classes, meetings, groups, and after COVID, then of course more in-person things, allowing members to rent spaces for classes and workshops. Someone said a tool library from another group that came up in our group too, and sustainable Ballard is an example that was given. And a big thrust in this group was the way that we can strengthen and improve our co-op to serve members' needs is to stay in business, to stay in business for 5 years or more ongoingly. Then for supporting a broader cooperative economy, in our group, the credit union also came up. Things that addressed economic needs, some kind of barter trade sponsorship, like the co-op could be a hub for a barter trade economy, and micro lending, some with the credit union idea, and also something about facilitating the delivery and transport system through having an electric boat or a sailboat system that would give us more ability to deliver things to bring fuel costs down, and get away from carbon fuels. So those were some of the ideas in our group.
Andrew, did you have a group to present with?
Andrew joined our group.
Oh, okay, great, perfect. And so we're finished, no more groups. Does that mean we're perfectly
that was all of them.
Oh, wow. We are really on time here. And I know that we lost some folks who maybe had to go do dinner or other things, but thank you so much, everybody who's joined us. I want to pass on to Burke Mulvaney, who is also on the member engagement committee with me, for some final words.
Chelsea, you did a very excellent job facilitating today, so thank you for that. And thank you, learner, and thank you, staff. Of course, everybody. It's being online like this is not what we're used to, right? We're used to being together in a community, sharing food and talking about what's going on with the co-op. So to meet in this way, it's new. So thank you for getting this far and getting to the end of today's thing. In that, knowing that our co-op is a thriving entity, that our co-op is a community, and that our co-op is growing every day, that our co-op is providing jobs and security, such great food, such great support. So with that, we just take a deep breath in as a community. And just let that out, knowing that we made it through our first online annual meeting. Hopefully the last we'll have to do online next year. Let us all be together in the physical form. May it be so. We're going to try something new to close. Just again, if you didn't get a thank you. And to all the members, thank you. And in that, I want to close by Josephine and I, we improvised a song and recorded it on a video. And as folks are leaving, we wanted to share it with you. And so if you want to stick around for 3 minutes and watch the whole video, great. But here's the thing. It's on Zoom, so we don't know if it's going to work. If it doesn't work, we tried. If it does work, we're glad that you stayed to watch. And to that, everybody, we're just sending look around and see your family, see your friends, see your community. We can wave to ourselves. We did such an amazing job. To those of you we don't see, we see you, we feel you, and we're really grateful. I'm going to attempt to share my screen and see what happens here. So blessed be, again, this is, let's see right here. Okay, hold on, we're going to do this really quick. We're almost there. And here we go.
Hello, I'm Josephine.
And I am Burke, and we are a Revivify Music Project, and we're here to play an improvisational song for you today. We hope you enjoy. Be well.
Peace through music.
Peace through music. Okay, so I don't know if that came through, but you know.
It sounded so great. Thank you. We're all still here. Nobody even left. It was so good.
That's so great. Well, Okay, I'm gonna confess, I'm ready to go watch the Seahawks win a big victory. So I love you guys. I'm gonna sign out. Excellent job, everybody. See you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you, Burke.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.